thought Rose would only use a lethal attack as a last resort.
What a boring ass episode. This episode of the Old Country Bumpkin. But wait, don't click off yet. It's not for the reason that you think. I actually think episode 10 was pretty good, but it was boring for one reason and one reason only. And that is simply because it's too little too late. I think that one of the big criticisms I've had of Old Country Bumpkin this season has been it's focused on the relationships that are going to go nowhere, right? It constantly had Alicia, Serena, all these girls who continually have a hard-on for Beryl, their master. And all of them try to pursue them, going on dates, them going nowhere, blah, blah, blah. So it puts such a strong focus on this, like, teacher-student harem. And it went nowhere that we basically wasted all this time for them to now, in episode 10, it's like, okay, now we have Beryl, how do you say it? He's answering the night summon, and he's gonna go protect the princess with Alicia and with the other knights. He's gonna meet the holy knights, and he's meeting a past student, and the student also has a little bit of a hard on for him as well too. And she does throw in like, if I moved here, could I move in with you? And he's like, no. And then he just moves on from that. So we didn't really spend much time like we did with Alicia or Serena or any of the other characters, kind of going and pursuing Beryl heavily like they did before. But instead, it's just a quick quip of like, hey, could I move in? He's like, no. And then we move on to the actual story, which is, he's going to protect the princess, and then the princess gets attacked. And then you could tell that the Holy Knight Order may know who the ones who are attacking are, so it might be a setup from the church. And he goes and he sees his student, which is the blue hair girl. He sees her, and he sees her kill somebody in cold blood, and he's like, I always thought that was against her code. I always thought that she would, decapitate, or not decapitate, but what's the right word for it? Decapitate, stroke. Basically, she would unarm them, or basically, knock them out versus killing them. There's a specific word for it, and it starts with a D, and I can't think about it, but whatever. But she doesn't. She kills him in cold blood, and then Beryl's like, oh, I always thought that she would take kind of like based on her own, order and being a holy knight and a girl of God and whatever. I always thought that she would take the other route. He's like, she must have changed her thoughts on killing and stuff. It's like, oh, that's a really cool thing to pursue. It's like, how did my students' mentality change? How did their lives change after me? Like, that's a cool thing to pursue. But it's too little too late because the show's about to end. Now you might say, but madam, you're going to get a season 2. And yeah, I understand that, but it's still too little too late because, again, we've had such a strong focus on the harem, the harem, no harem, because the harem's never going to happen. So we've had such a strong focus on that, and it's going to continue to be a focus because we've gotten good. In lieu of everything else, we've gotten good episodes, probably like 3 or 4 out of the 10. So we've gotten like 40% of good episodes of the season, but then they're sprinkled in with the majority of the stuff that I don't like about the show, and that's going to continue into another 12 episodes next season. So, like I told you guys before, I'm cutting off the bleeding. I'm not watching season 2. I think I was super disappointed in the show. And although I did praise this episode, the way I started it was this was a boring episode. And that still holds true. And during the fight scenes and stuff too, I still have a big issue with it. They keep depicting as Beryl being like the Master Swordsman and like the strongest guy ever. But then his fights always end up being really bad and boring, like the Griffin fight. And then, like, the fight today, he had the fight against the, shadow guy or whatever. And he does figure out, like, oh, he's gonna, he's not just a swordsman or whatever. Like, yeah, dude, no shit. He has poison on his dagger. But he goes in and he's like, oh, pop, 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 pop. And the fight's okay. And they use a lot of 3D animation for some reason, too. So Beryl looks weird. He looks like, he looks janky. And then they use 3D animation for the other folks, too. So it's like, I didn't like it at all. So, again, I think it was a boring episode. I don't think it was the best episode. It had good moments, and it had good, the story is pretty good. As far as, like, what it's setting up with the princess and the protection and the blah, 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 blah. I think that's good. But at the end of it, I was like, I felt bored after, and that's the feeling that I had. So, I'm all over the place. 6.5 out of 10, I think this episode was. That's kind of where I'm going to land. 6.5 out of 10. I don't really do even, I don't really do points numbers. So 6 out of 10 is where I would land. It was a fine, not good, but just fine episode of Country Bumpkin. You may feel different. You may be like, oh my God, Dom, you're totally wrong. This is the best ever. I love it so much. Let me know in the comments. Anyways, I'll see you guys next week, my friends, for episode 11. See you then. Peace.